Our guest this evening at the Weather Watercooler is Bernadette Woods-Placky, Vice President for Engagement and Chief Meteorologist at Climate Central, headquartered in Princeton, New Jersey. Bernadette is a 1999 graduate of the Department of Meteorology and Atmospheric Science. Welcome to Weather World, Bernie.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always fun to be back.
Our pleasure. So before we delve into your current position and organization, take us through your career path prior to Climate Central.
So I went to Penn State, as you just explained, and after I graduated, I worked at AccuWeather for a couple of years. Then I transitioned onto television, and during that time, I worked in Fayetteville, Arkansas. That was my first market. Really big weather there. Then my second market was in Lexington, Kentucky, and then I spent the bulk of my television time in Baltimore, Maryland. Then, about 11 years ago, I came over to Climate Central.
Okay. And so tell us about this organization you're currently with, Climate Central.
Absolutely. So Climate Central is a nonprofit independent organization really focused on science and communication of climate change. What we do is help people understand how the climate is changing, how that's affecting them, and what can be done about it.
And so tell us about your specific role as first Vice President for Engagement and second Chief Meteorologist.
I do have a couple of titles going on at this point. Overall, when I came to Climate Central, it was to direct our program Climate Matters. And this is where it started with work with TV meteorologists, then expanded out to supporting journalists, local journalists all around the country also. So what we do is focus on three core areas: education, a lot of workshops, webinars, conferences, to help the media understand the connections between climate change and the stories they're telling. Two, we produce weekly content, so a package of reporting resources with data analysis, localized to over 200 cities in the United States, accompanying visuals, experts that can be interviewed if you want to reach out in that direction, or however you want to build out that story. And third, a lot of overall support. As people are learning more about climate change and the ways to bring it into their storytelling, they'll have questions about specific aspect of climate change, whether it's weather or how that's affecting energy or might be affecting water. And so we can help make those connections or make connections to experts externally.
Got it. So where might our viewers see or interact with some of the products that you create at Climate Central?
Well, you probably see it in a few places right here on Weather World, because we know that our weather is changing as our climate is changing. And so the ways that it's changing weather, we produce a lot of analysis and content around that could be brought into Weather World or other TV weathercasts all around the country. We also do a product called Weather Power, which is wind and solar forecasts. So again, this is weather as a solution to climate change. Some other places you'll see this media across the country, from the Weather Channel all the way down to a lot of local offices and stations, and then media in general, not just weather. We're working with journalists who are doing a lot of reporting in different aspects of how climate change is affecting people and some of the solutions that are advancing very quickly.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, you minored in French at Penn State. Has that come in handy in your career?
It has. So yes, I did. And I love languages and I find them fascinating personally, but also our work does take us globally. And there's this global group of TV weather presenters that we support. It's not in a full-time program the same way we have in the United States, but we've been doing a lot of work with them over the years. And we work with the World Meteorological Organization and also a group that's connected to Météo France. So they have an annual conference, so I do get to go there. And with the Paris Climate Change Agreement, we do go to the annual COP meeting, Conference of Parties. When it was in Paris, that was a place where a lot of things came together for me, not only the French, but obviously the agreement happened and working with this global group. So it has come in handy over the years. And I also got to spend some time in France in college.
Hey, I know that in addition to your work at Climate Central, you also serve on a couple boards, professional boards and councils. Tell us about your work with the AMS, the American Meteorological Society.
Well, like you and many of us in this space, The American Meteorological Society is near and dear to our heart. It really has supported the full spectrum of weather, from research, communication, applications, services, businesses, and it has for decades upon decades. So all of us who work in this space have a lot of ties to the American Meteorological Society. I was incredibly honored to be brought into the council. And so the council is the governing body of the AMS. So I'm currently serving in that, where we help to guide a lot of what the AMS is doing, because there's so many amazing people working for the organization itself, or at least or part of the society.
We only have a few seconds left. Any favorite memories from your time at Penn State?
Oh, so many. Well, I have to admit, I loved in meteorology. This is before we had computers the way we do now. And so whenever a big storm would come in, we'd all run up to the 6th floor of Walker, whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning, to see if that storm came in as snow or ice or rain. So there was a real unifying factor in that. I also was involved with the gymnastics team. And so a lot of my memories at Penn State are connected to women's gymnastics, as I know you have ties also. And so just so many friends and experiences, and going to nationals and supporting that team. And I also worked at Chili's while it was still there. So I have a lot of memories and friends that go back to that too.
Bernadette Woods-Placky, Vice President for Engagement and Chief Meteorologist, Climate Central. Thanks for joining us, Bernie.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll be back in a moment with more.